Hello everybody, I'm Remi, a 3x3 basketball coach and the creator of the YouTube channel My 3x3 Experience. I do my presentation today in a slightly different format, and we're gonna talk today about the transition offense in 3x3 basketball and how to play that. So I'm gonna especially emphasize here the quickness of a 3x3 basketball game. In this session, I'm gonna use video clips as an examples of what I'm talking about, and also a brief PowerPoint presentation. First, I want to lay down the principles. We're gonna stop on 9 priority options to utilize in a fast play in transition. Then we will see a specific sequences of actions which lead to a successful transition play. And in the end, we're gonna talk about the ability to play fast in 2 slightly specific phases of the fast break. And as a conclusion, we're gonna go through a number of individual fundamental skills which are necessary to successfully implement the ideas of a good transition play in 3x3 basketball. I also think that for those who are not so familiar with 3x3 basketball, it's important to remind some rules. In a 3x3 game, after every change of possession, players have to clear the ball outside the 3-point arc, and then they can attack the basket, and you have only 12 seconds to attack the basket, so the game is extremely fast-paced. This is a big difference from 5-on-5 basketball, where usually you can do several actions during the 24-second offensive shot clock to find a proper opportunity for an open shot or an open layup. In 3x3, it is considered to be extremely good if you have 2 good shot opportunities during one offense. So right at the moment, when the ball possession is established, the 12 seconds countdown begins. So you have to bring the ball outside the arc very fast to start your offense and find a good opportunity for a shot. So here are 3 fundamentals of playing fast. Be fast but not in a hurry, and try to use first 6 seconds of your possession in transition to find a good shot. Then, if it's not successful, you still have 6 seconds on the shot clock for a second chance. The second point is to force defense to work hard continuously throughout your whole offensive possession. And the third point is to force the defense to move so that you can create an offensive advantage, which leads to an open shot or an open layup, whether some kind of mismatch or a closeout situation. One of the main fundamentals of a successful transition offense is how you bring the ball outside the arc when you obtain a ball possession. Most of the time, you will obtain a ball possession in this area, and from here you will have 3 options to bring the ball behind the arc. First option is to dribble the ball outside the arc. The second one is to pass it directly right after obtaining the possession. And the last one is first to dribble and then to pass it. So let's lay the foundation before we watch the video examples. The second option, to clear the ball with a direct pass, has a big advantage. You can take a shot right after receiving a pass. So a good option is to find your teammate for a catch and shoot in the corners. There are 2 reasons for using corners for a catch and shoot. A player who gets the ball first most of the times will be in this area, and from this position it's very fast to do a quarter turn to pass the ball to the corner. And a second point why it's also a good idea to make a fast pass to the corner is that the rebounder is still facing the basket and can receive a fast pass back for a finish. The option of clearing the ball out with a dribbling is widely used when the passing lanes to both of your teammates are completely blocked. The last option will be first to use a dribble and then to pass it to your teammate outside the 2-point arc. When using a dribbling to clear the ball, it's always better to use these 3 areas to clear the ball. Simply because if you dribble the ball towards the corners, it's very easy for defense to trap you there using the sideline and the baseline. So rather than dribble this way and limit your passing opportunities, it's better to dribble right towards the middle, then you will have all these 3 passing lines open. So to sum it up, we have 3 options of clearing the ball. Pass the ball right away, predominantly to the corners, dribble the ball out, and it's better to clear the ball to the top areas above the free throw line extended, and at last dribble and pass it out. Now we're gonna watch video clips as an example of transition offensive plays. First one is gonna be pass for a catch and shoot. What is interesting here is the rebounder tries to make the pass as fast as possible, so here he makes almost a volleyball pass with the one hand right behind the 2-point line. It's also very important to point out that in 3x3 basketball, the receiver of the ball has to be ready to pull up the shot extremely quick and without any hesitation. And after taking a shot, a player has to be ready to immediately go and hustle for a rebound. Here we see the situation when the player gets the rebound and passes the ball right to the top. What's interesting here is the rebounder grabs the ball facing the basket, so he has to spend a little more time to turn around and pass. And what I want to bring to your attention here is the receiver of the ball backpedaling to the point of the receiving a pass. And this backpedal movement is extremely specific to 3x3 basketball. You can hardly see that in 5-on-5. Here is the same thing with backpedaling and catching the ball for a catch and shoot. So I think that's an important point to use at the practices to practice a backpedal for a catch and shoot. A good moment here when the rebounder finds the shooter in the corner, which we discussed before, because the rebounder grabs the ball facing the basket. Please also note that the most passes after a rebound are one-handed passes because they are quicker than two-handed passes. Now we're gonna take a look at the situations with dribbling. Here is the simple dribble out and shoot. In all these situations, it's very interesting to note the amount of dribbles player uses to dribble the ball out. Most of the times, it's not more than 2 dribbles before the player will be able to face the basket behind the 2-point arc for a shot. Here is a good example of 2 bounces before the shot. And in the last situation, a player is being helped by his teammate with a screen. But the same, he uses 2 dribbles to get out. So a good point here is to use your teammates as screeners to get to the open spot behind the 2-point line. Another essential point here is the awareness of the offensive player with the ball and his ability to observe the court and the positions of the other players. Just note that he takes a look around his shoulder to point out where the defender is. Now we will see the situations with pass and go when the ball receiver gets the ball and goes one-on-one for a layup. It's a very common situation in 3x3 where the pass out and the defender is hustling to contest a shot, so creating a closeout situation which can be utilized by offensive player to blow by. Here we see a quick pass out and the offensive player gets the ball and attacks it hard. The main point here is to properly use a head fake and look to the basket so the defender believes that you're gonna shoot first. And after a head fake, you use a low dribble to accelerate fast and get to the basket. It's obvious here that you have to have a good one-on-one skills to utilize this type of fast break. In this situation, it's very interesting how the rebounder works after the pass to the teammate. He clears the space under the basket right after the pass to allow a drive. A teammate who receives the ball has to be also very careful with receiving the pass behind the 2-point arc and not to step inside prematurely, otherwise the basket will not be counted because the ball wasn't cleared properly. The pass here is made right on time because the defender racing behind and opens a driving lane for an offensive player. Now we're gonna see the examples of dribble out and immediately attack the basket with a drive. And why it's a good point to attack here straight after the clear is that the defender blocks a line to clear the ball out, and at the moment when the ball is clear, the defender is behind the offensive player, so it's an open lane to go right back to the basket for a finish. So here you see the defender in red tries to prevent the white player from clearing the ball fast, but he stays behind him when the ball is cleared. So the white player has no one in between him and the basket and can go for an easy finish. It's very important to work on all these options at the practice. Here you see once again that the defender in red tries to prevent a fast clear by blocking the dribbling line, and the offensive player in yellow, once the ball is cleared, seals the defender and attacks the basket right away, leaving a defender behind him. Here you see the options of clear the ball is dribble, pass and dribble pass, and also the options after the clear is shoot, drive or pass. Let's start with the shot. A shot can be taken after the dribble clear, after the direct pass from the rebounder to the shooter, and after the rebounder dribbles the ball and passes it behind the arc for catch and shoot. Same thing with a drive. With a dribble clear, when the defender protects the ball to be cleared and stays behind when the ball is actually cleared, you can drive right away. Then same thing after the pass, if the defender is a bit late to contest a shot and it creates a closeout situation, it's also an open lane to blow by. And almost same thing with a dribble pass. Usually it creates a closeout situation where you can pass the defender by on a hard closeout. I don't have the video examples of the last line of the options after the ball clear, which is pass, so I think it will be easier to show it on a diagram here. So let's check it out. Let's say we have a rebounder here who grabs the ball and sees an open passing lane to his teammate behind the arc and makes a quick pass out. And then the first option, the first look, will be a quick pass back to the same passing lane to the person who just rebounded the ball, since he is in an established position right onto the basket. The only point, he has to seal his defender right after passing. So if the defender is sealed by an offensive player and the passing line is still open with this fast pass out and pass in, we can have an easy basket. And this is the second option of this last line of the passing options after the clear: pass and pass back. Then we have two options left here in the table. When we clear the ball by dribbling and passing, and then it follows by a pass. Here we can move on to a sequence of actions, which I'm gonna show you here on a diagram. There can be a variety of fast actions after the ball is cleared, but I want to focus here on a couple of actions which can be performed pretty fast, maintaining the flow and the fast pace of a transition offense. It's very important to perform these actions in first 4 or 5 seconds after the ball possession to utilize that defense is not properly set. First, I'm gonna show you these plays on a diagram, and then we can watch videos of the examples of such plays. First sequence is when the rebounder clears the ball with a dribbling himself, and one of the other teammates sets a screen, off-ball screen, to the second teammate, and this teammate makes a basket cut. We'll check it on a video example a bit later. The second sequence of actions starts the same, with the rebounder dribbling a ball out himself and then gives a handoff to his teammate. Let's see the situations on videos. And here we see how the rebounder grabs the ball and then uses a dribbling very fast to clear the ball behind the 2-point line, while at the same time his teammate does a curl for a handoff, to take a handoff from his teammate to shoot the 2 immediately after. And here we see the second variation of this type of play, where the offensive players take an advantage of a handoff as a screen. Then the receiver of the handoff can immediately pull up an open shot or gives the ball back to the screener, so it can be similar like a pick and roll play. And now we can take a closer look to these plays. What is important to note here is that this player, the receiver of the handoff, first makes a contact with his defender, forcing him to the off-balance stance so he can't go right after him. This way the offensive player definitely knows that he's gonna be the first on the ball. This contact is very important, that it prevents the defender from anticipating the offensive movement, and the offensive player has to create this contact around the moment the rebounder makes his first dribble. In the same situation here, all the cuts of ball cuts are made after the contact with defender, and then the receiver of a handoff can make a decision whether to shoot it right away or drive to the basket. Here we can see that the defender goes under the screen. That means it's an opportunity to take a shot. And here is another situation when the defense plays switch on the handoff, but one of the defenders who defends the off-ball cutter is not aggressive enough, so the receiver of a handoff has some open space to pull up and open to. Here the defensive player also follows the cutter not aggressive enough and is caught on a handoff on a screen. And here the defender allows space for an open two going under the screen. And then to emphasize it once again, it's very important for an off-ball cutter, the receiver of a handoff, to initiate a contact with his defender right at the moment his teammate makes his first dribble, so he has an advantage at the receiving of a handoff for an open shot or a penetration. Here you can see an option with a flare screen, which is leading for an open teammate's two-point shot. I'll let the video play a little further so we can see the different transition situations here. Now we can take a closer look in this situation. Here the rebounder brings the ball as fast as he can to the wing, and what we can emphasize here is another player who's going to set the screen. He sees that the defender who he's going to screen looks completely away from him, so he can't observe the situation that the screen is coming, which shows a great offensive awareness of the screener. And what is also interesting here, that the player who receives the screen does not cut hard to the basket, but sees that the defense is switching and one of the defenders is late, and he stays and slides along the two-point line so he can take a space for an open two-point shot. And that's a great example how offense exploits the misunderstanding during the defensive switch and miscommunication to create an open shot opportunity. Now we'll see another example. Here comes the screen, but here in the second option, player goes to take the screen, but he actually doesn't take it. He fakes and then goes backdoor. That's a great example of anticipating what the defense is going to do. And even though this player doesn't receive the ball after the backdoor cut, he opens a space in front of the rim, right in the middle, for a shot by forcing his defender to follow him hard to the corner. Here we see once again a flare screen action, and the screener rolls to the open space right after the contact with the defender. And since the defensive communication was poor and the defender couldn't see the screen is coming, it worked as a completely back screen, which is one of the most dangerous screens, especially when it's set at the top. And now we're going to move into the last variation of this transition play, which I emphasized earlier, is to find an open man in the first 4 seconds of an offensive possession. And there we can take an advantage of the defense is not being set yet, because it's almost impossible to catch a man on a matchup in the first 4 seconds because of the fast pace of the 3x3 game and continuously switching from offense to defense and back. So here we see a good inside opening. And here this advantage was created by sealing the defender even before the change of possession, which I call the offensive box out. And when the player sees that his teammate gets a rebound and dribbles the ball out behind the 2-point arc, he already established his position inside by boxing out his defender. Like here you see the player in red creates a contact with his defender, and then when the ball is cleared, he is completely opened in the post. And this is a very common situation to force defensive mistakes and have an easy basket or a foul. So these situations are very interesting as well on this point of view, because we can draw a lot of fouls which can be crucial in the end of the game. Here you can see a similar example of an offensive box out. The only thing that the offensive player was too hard and stepped out of bounds with his defender. So that's the exact moment he starts boxing out when his teammate was on the way out. That's the only thing that he made a bit of a mistake and did it too hard. But that's the main idea of the offensive box out, how to create a contact with your defender and then move him with your back out of the paint area to receive a ball easier in the paint. And here we see the situation when the ball is being received after the clear behind the 2-point line. We saw the similar situations before when the defensive player is a bit late on a closeout. And here this delay on a closeout is being exploited for a drive, for blowing by the defense. So the main idea is to take advantage of the defense is being late on the closeouts. Same here. And a very important skill here of the offensive players is to anticipate and read the defense on these closeouts, and whether it's a good opportunity to take a shot if the defense is too late, or to take a drive when it's a hard closeout and the shot still can be contested, but it's an easy opportunity to blow by the defense because the closeout is too hard. So I think I covered everything I wanted to tell you about this part. And now I want to move to the 2 special situations of the transition offense. And those are free throws and steals. After a free throw, you can utilize several easy plays to take an advantage of the fast offense. Look at this play, for example, when the free throw shooter then is being late on defense, and this is exploited very well by the offense. Here you see that one of the players stays behind the arc to draw his defender away, and another player who has to be covered by the shooter makes a very, very fast cut to the corner to receive a pass from the rebounder. And this is the main idea to utilize after a free throw on a transition offense. And you can see that many teams try to use this opportunity, that one of the players who has to be guarded by the shooter takes a quick cut to the corner because the free throw shooter is usually late after a free throw to cover this cut on defense. There are lots of situations like this in different 3x3 games, and you can easily find them on internet, on YouTube, and different games on different levels. And now let's talk about steals. In these two situations, the steals are being made very close to the 2-point line, so it takes just one step for an offensive player to clear the ball, so you can attack the basket immediately after the steal. So it's either a catch and shoot after a quick pass, as in the first example, or an immediate drive to the basket right after the steal. Here you see that the player steals the ball already being behind the 2-point line, so he's immediately in the offense. And now he has three possibilities. He can attack the basket himself by driving to the rim, because his defender is already behind him, so he has a clear driving lane. He can pass to his teammate who opens up at the 2-point line, which will be the case in the end. And he can also pass to another teammate which stays down low, and he also has a clear look to the basket. So basically, after a steal, usually you have these three possibilities: a direct drive to the basket by a stealer, a pass to a teammate who flashes up behind the arc for an open two, or a pass to a teammate who stays down low in the post. And if a defender is closer to the post player, this player usually cuts backdoor. And here is the similar situation when the steal is made at the 2-point line area. So one step to clear the ball, and the stealer himself can penetrate to the basket for a finish. And now I would also like to show you on a diagram a situation after a free throw of a fast transition offense. Here's the shooter. These are two of his teammates, and now I will change the color to make it more clear. These are the players of another team who will be an offense after a free throw. And I see one of them is at the top, behind the 2-point line. So after a shot, this player picks up the ball. And this player immediately goes and sets a screen, giving a player at the top an opportunity to cut to the corner and take an uncontested shot after a pass from the rebounder. And now I want to lay down the main fundamental skills, individual skills, which I find essential for a fast transition play. And these skills are also very specific to 3x3 basketball. In my vision, there are 4 fundamental skills for successful offensive transition play. One of the skills we were already discussed, and this is the offensive box out. Please take a look at how the offensive player fights for the position and gets his defender on his back while his teammate clears the ball. And after that he has an open lane for a layup. Here we see 2 players are fighting for the rebound. And please note how the number 11 in white initiates a contact with a player in dark blue, number 12, and then he uses this advantage to make his defender off balance after the contact to clearly pop out behind the 2-point line to receive a quick pass from the rebounder to clear the ball. The next skill is a bounce pass. This is a very important technique in a transition offense to minimize the chance of defensive ball deflections. In a lot of situations, the bounce pass is the best option because the defender has his arms raised, and at the same time the defender doesn't look at the ball but looks only at his matchup. So an idea here is to pass the ball through an open area under the defender arms. The next skill is a one-handed rebound and a volleyball pass, which can be a very dangerous weapon in 3x3 basketball transition offense. Now just take a look. The idea here is to give a very fast volleyball pass to your open teammate without wasting a time to gather the ball with two hands. And this way we can save several seconds from your offense, which is really crucial, having only 12 seconds for your offense. This type of pass can be made to your teammate who is already behind the 2-point line for a fast clear, or it can also be a shorter pass to your open teammate, so he has still to dribble out to clear the ball, but anyway it will be faster than grabbing the ball with two hands and spending some time to secure the ball after a rebound. And last but not least is the skill of backpedaling behind the 2-point arc to receive a pass for a catch and shoot. It's not fake cuts, which we can usually see in 5-on-5 basketball games. This can also be made not by complete backpedaling, but running outside the 2-point line, turning 3/4 to the basket, then make a quick turn facing the basket, catch and shoot. And as a conclusion, I would like to show you several drills which you can use at your team practices to improve your fast transition offensive play. In this kind of drills we can work on all these essential techniques, and you can find more drill variations on my YouTube channel, My 3x3 Experience. And here I will show you a drill where two players are involved and they go 2 against 0. It's a very basic and simple drill. There is a player who rebounds the ball, dribbles it out, passes it to the teammate, receives the pass back and takes a shot. And after the shot the next two players can go. Even though it looks very simple, we can work on different fundamental skills here necessary for a successful transition offense. You can ask a player without the ball to backpedal behind the 2-point line before receiving the first pass. You can also make a variation to emphasize other 3 skills I was talking about. I'm gonna stop the video example here because actually the drill lasts a bit long, but you got the general idea. You can find a lot of other drills connected to the transition offense and other aspects of a 3x3 game on my YouTube channel. So there are my ideas about the 3 main options how we can clear the ball fast to set up the transition offense, which are pass, dribble out and dribble and pass. And after the ball is cleared by one of these 3 options, there can be variations of how you can utilize the fast offense according to where your teammates are and how the defense is set. As we can see, there is a number of technical skills which lead to a successful offensive plays, and the rebounding work is essential here. And volleyball passes after a rebound and backpedaling outside the 2-point line is just to name a few. And after the ball is cleared, you usually have 3 possibilities. The first one is a 2-point shot. The second possibility is to attack the basket by driving and beating your defender 1-on-1, or sometimes just go 1 against 0. The offensive box out has been used properly. And finally, there is an option to find an open teammate, whether it can be passed for a 2-point shot or pass back to the post. So I think I covered almost all the options on transition offense in a game of 3x3, which can be utilized to set up a successful play in the first 6 seconds of possession. And then if you use this 6 seconds to find an opportunity for a shot and it's not successful, you still have another 6 seconds to create something before the shot clock runs out. I also presented to you 2 special situations for a transition offense, which are setting up a play after a free throw and after a steal, where after steals sometimes you don't even have to clear the ball, you just have to immediately turn around, face the basket and attack the rim by penetrating or passing to your teammate. I hope you enjoyed my presentation. I might use another formats in the future, maybe lay it down in a text file, but I really hope that you find this one useful for your team. And see you next time. Bye bye.